Hi my dear friends, and this is Taz from Taslima Maya Art. Welcome to my channel of mixed media and fluid art creations. It's great to have you here. If you're new, please do check out my other videos, as most of them are tutorials and step-by-step for beginners. And don't forget to hit those like, share and subscribe buttons, and do leave me a comment. I love hearing from you. So we have the usual lineup on our Fluid Art Express this week, and I will be kickstarting by creating a beautiful tree using Amazon Basics photo paper and Let's Resin and Piñata alcohol inks. And this is a perfect one for beginners to learn the technique. All the products and tools I use will be in the description box below for your convenience. So welcome everyone, and I'm going to be trying a technique I haven't tried before using alcohol ink. I'm using this paper, which is actually Amazon Basics photo paper, for the first time ever, and I've masking taped that onto a piece of card, and I'm using this small brush. It's almost a detail brush, and I've already got the safety issues covered, so please do use your gloves, respirators, and have adequate ventilation. And I'm going to be using a number of Let's Resin inks. I'll put them into the description box and on the screen there, and they're diluted 1 part to 1 part in isopropyl alcohol, 99%. And here I'm using a basic palette or well to dilute my Piñata jewel green alcohol ink, and adding some isopropyl alcohol to it to dilute it down. And I'm adding my other pre-diluted colours into each of the wells there, as you can see. I'm going to keep it limited in terms of colour palette and just use the 4 colours as you see there. So that's orange, red, lemon yellow and jewel green. And then I'm going to use my paintbrush really to dab on some of my colours onto my paper and allow it to spread as much as it does. Now this artwork was inspired by another alcohol ink artist who's very good at her trade by the name of Laurie Williams. So I'll put the link down in the description box below to her channel. Do go check her out, and the name will be up on the screen for you too. So this is a really simple technique, as you can see, for beginners. All I'm really doing here is touching the ink onto my brush and then touching the paper with it and watching it spread. And once I've done a layer of dots with the yellow, I'm going to then move on to the next colour, which will be the orange, and I'm going in succession from light to dark. In a little pot there I've got some more alcohol where I'm washing out my brush and then wiping it on some kitchen towel or on the puppy pad there, you can see. And you're getting my new colour, the orange now, and I'm dabbing that on top of the yellow and around. So I'm trying to make the shape of foliage, autumnal colours. So I'm going to pop some reds, yellows, oranges down, and a little bit of green as well eventually, as you'll see shortly. Now this is really simple and easy to do, as you can see, and if you are a beginner or new to alcohol ink, it's a really nice technique to start with. So if you do give it a go after watching my video, do let me know in the comments below, and just let me know how it went. It would be great to hear from you. Now, for the sake of efficiency, I am going to forward or speed up part of this footage, so you can see that all I'm doing is just dabbing on the colours. I'm not really using my brush for much else, simply dabbing on colours. Now here I go with the green now on top of the other lighter colours, and I'm simply putting it in the spaces in between and sometimes on top for those colours to blend in with each other as well. And you will see the beautiful outcome at the end. So for the majority of the rest of this, I will play some music and then come back to you when I change tack on what I do next. Now this was a little bit of an experimental artwork for me. It's the first time I'm really
painting with a brush when it came to alcohol ink. I'm using coffee here from Let's Resin, and I'm going to put that into my well and then simply try and draw in a tree trunk the best that I can. And I don't want it to be straight down, I want it to be slightly curved and unpredictable, like some tree trunks are, sort of gnarly. So I'm just drawing in, using the ink itself, shapes within the trunk and maybe some roots as well. And then later what I decide to do is use my Posca pen. It's a new one I've got with a double tip, a very thin tip and a thick tip, double-ended, and I use that to really embellish or draw in the tree trunk better. So given that this one was a bit of an experimental piece of work for me, I didn't really know what it would look like at the end, and kind of just went with the flow, just drawing different roots and branches going up. And I learnt a lot from doing this one. It's my first one in this technique, and I think maybe the leaves and the foliage were too uniform the way that I did it, and next time I might change that up a bit in terms of the shape of the foliage. And in terms of the roots, I really liked how the bark and the roots turned out, which you'll see later on. And here I'm just doing a very basic outline using the ink. So I find that I'm really having some fun now, being as experimental as I can be with the way that trunk is going to look. And I also learned things along the way with experimentation, and that is that if I were to do this again, I would probably do the trunk and the branches first and then add the leaves afterwards around them. So I'd be able to plan it a bit better than I did this time. But as I said, this was my first go, and it was inspired by the amazing autumnal tree that Laurie Williams did. So a big thank you to her for her inspiration. Now what you're seeing here is me using my brand new Posca pen. It's a pen that Laurie also recommended. It's from Amazon. It's not that expensive. I'll put the details and a link to it in my description box below. But I'm using the finer point. It's got two nibs on each end, one nib on each end I should say, a thin one and a thicker one. I'm using the thinnest that I've got on there and using that to draw in the branches across the top and some of the roots at the bottom. At this point, if I'm absolutely honest with you, I didn't really know how this trunk would look, whether I would just, I don't know, colour it in with a Posca pen, make it all black, or put some texture into it. But in the end, as I was sort of building up to it, I decided to add some texture using my Posca pen rather than using the inks. And I just wanted that contrast really between the beauty of those leaves and that kind of gnarly, kind of twisted trunk and some of the branches there. So what I end up doing, which you'll see in a moment, is just literally just putting in some lines across the bark and trying to put some texture in using my Posca pen. I hope you enjoy it. Now do remember that if you are a beginner with alcohol inks, this is a really nice little project for you to try out, because it's quite controlled, unlike some of the abstract pieces that you see people do on YouTube and elsewhere on social media. So if you want to do something that you can have a bit more modicum of control over, you could choose to do something as simple as a tree, and it doesn't have to be as complicated as this one. You could do a simple tree trunk using a darker brown colour of ink and paint it in using the ink itself. There's lots of different ways to do this. There's no real right or wrong way, I feel, and you should really try and experiment and see what you come up with, and try different techniques and methods, and also try it with ink, so you don't have to use a pen at all if you don't want to. But like I said, I wanted to try this out. I do like this kind of look here with the trunk, twisting around itself. I think it's really, really pretty. I don't know what you think. I'd love to know what you think of it. I mean, it's not a perfect piece, I would say, because there's some elements of it I'm not too fond of, like in the tree trunk, right at the top of the tree trunk where it meets the leaves. You can see some of that alcohol ink really coming through with the colours right in the middle of the tree trunk, which isn't ideal. But like I said, this is an experiment. I'm having fun, I'm happy to give this piece away if anybody wants it as well, so if you do, please just comment below and let me know, and I think the first person who says they want it, I'll try and post it out to you. So yeah, you know, you can have this piece if you want to, so just leave me a comment saying you'd like it, and I'll give it to the first person who comments. Now for the next phase, the final, well, almost final phase, is just to add a bit of texture across the ground there where the roots are taking effect, and I simply use the brush now to paint a little, so I'm just adding little dabs and lines of each of those similar colours. Now I wanted it to look like an autumnal piece, so it's going to have similar coloured leaves on the ground, so in a sort of abstract way I'm just leaving a couple of lines here and there. I'm going to add each of those colours that you see in the branches, you know, amongst the leaves, into the ground as well. And again, I don't really know what I'm doing, I'm just kind of going with the flow and making it up as I go along, like a lot of my pieces. So I'm just going to clean off my brush and add a couple of the other colours and hope that they merge together, which alcohol ink normally does in a really beautiful way. So it's a really nice simple technique where you just add colour on top of colour and see what happens with the blending, really. But yeah, this is really fun, and I will definitely try this technique again, maybe with a bit more foresight and a bit more knowledge in terms of what I'm doing after the experience with this one. But yeah, so watch this space and see what I come up with next. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna pretty much take a toothbrush next and spray some alcohol ink, diluted alcohol ink over it, really, to give it some nice effects, and then I'll be signing it and I'll be done with it. But I really hope that you enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll say bye at the end, so enjoy the music. So this is when I dip my old toothbrush into some of the alcohol ink and I spray it over my picture and get that nice little effect in the background as well that ties the whole thing together. And here is a still of what it looks like at the moment, and I'm going to remove the masking tape now, and hopefully we'll have a edge or a border that's white. I think in this instance it bled through a little bit of my masking tape, so I might use painter's tape next time. So that's one lesson learned as well. So on the left side you'll see some bleed through on the edge, but that's not a big deal, and I can try and wipe it off using some isopropyl alcohol anyway. So here's the final artwork. What do you guys think of it? Do you like it? Is there something you would do differently? Are there any suggestions out there for improvement? Anything you want to say, please leave me some feedback. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed this video today and you like the artwork that I produced. So here is the final close-up and flyover. Thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. I love all my subscribers and viewers, and I love talking to you in the live chats. I hope to see you next time, and I'll see you in the next video in the lineup. Bye. Up next is Venom Fluid Art.